In this week's episode of Working with Work, it's all about using productivity to reduce your stress. Hello and welcome to this 40th episode of Working with Work. My name is Carl Pauline, and in this week's episode I want to explain to you why being organised and productive can really help to reduce the amount of stress that you have in your day-to-day life. Now, I don't get stressed. I'm serious when I say that. I really never get stressed. I mean, of course, there's little things like the occasional argument with my wife, but overall, I don't feel any stress at all. And I've given this a lot of thought because I work with a lot of stressed out executives, and I'm always curious about, well, what is it that's actually causing this amount of stress? So this week, I've been asking all my clients during our one-to-one sessions about what it is that they can identify that causes their stress. Now, pretty much all of them have said the same thing. It's the volume of work, and a few of them have said rather unreasonable bosses. But the big one for me was everybody said volume of work. Now, the thing is, we all do feel that we've got a lot of work, and I've talked before about people thinking, oh, I'm busy. When really, you're not actually busy, you just have a lot of work to do. Now, I think a lot of you guys out there who are working in offices, you all do have a lot of work to do. But the thing about that is, you have to understand that you can only work on one thing at a time. We can't multitask, we know that, and science proves that we cannot multitask. When we think we're multitasking, we're actually task switching, which is very exhausting for your brain. So what you first have to understand is you can only work on one thing at a time. Now, if you do find yourself feeling very stressed because of the sheer volume of work that you have, then the first thing you're going to have to do is get yourself a piece of paper, or if you're like me, you're a digital-minded person, sit down with an open note in Evernote or whatever note-taking application you use and just brain dump. I came across a wonderful expression many years ago, which is brain squeeze. Squeeze out everything that you're in your head that you have to get done. Because one of the reasons that you feel stress is simply because you are relying on your brain, on your head, to remember all the things that you have to do. And as I wrote this week in my blog post, our brain was never designed to be a reminder application. Our brain is for coming up with creative, wonderful ways of dealing with existing problems. So the first thing you need to do is get all those reminders, all those things that you have to do, just get them out of your head. Get them onto a piece of paper or get them into some kind of digital list, but just get them out of your head. Now, once you've done that, you need to look at that list, and that's when you need to start prioritizing. Which ones are time sensitive? Which ones need to get done first? Because some tasks are part of projects that you have to do this bit first before you can move on to this one. They're kind of like conditional, what I call conditional tasks. You have to do this first before you can do this. For example, you have to buy your plane ticket before you can check in at the airport. So buy plane ticket, check in at the airport, get on the plane. They're conditional tasks. So you've got all sorts of things like that. And what you need to do is to sort through them. Now, I know you're going to say, I'm too busy to do this. But that, to be perfectly honest, is not the answer. If that's the way you think, then you are going to feel very stressed. Because you're going to have to take some time out, as we say, time out, even if it's just 30 minutes to an hour, and sit down and get that list, get everything out of your head. First thing you need to do, prioritize. What are the most time-sensitive tasks that need to be done? Those ones, become like P1 if you're using Todoist. They are priority 1. Then you need to look at what are the next tasks, what are the backup tasks that need to be done. But once you do that, if you open up your calendar and you open up your to-do list, you can then start allocating the tasks to the day. Now, when you start doing that, you will feel that stress lifting from your shoulders, because it does feel very, I have been stressed in the past and I know what it feels like to be stressed. But what it can do when you have everything written down in some form of digital format or on pen and paper, you will feel such a sense of relief. And then your mind will be able to start working on what it's really good at. Things like making decisions about what you need to do next. And that's really where it all comes down to. What is the next action? What is the next action? If necessary, cancel some appointments if you have the authority to do that. Sit down and just get this done. Now, the reason I mentioned that you need to have your calendar open with you is when I look throughout my week, I can see, for example, next week I've already had a look. Thursday is going to be a very busy day. I have a workshop in the morning and I've got classes all afternoon right up until 8 p.m. So there is no point in me thinking that I'm going to be able to write my book on Thursday. It's not going to happen, so I'm not even going to schedule that as a task for Thursday. Thursday essentially is traveling and teaching, and that's what I've got. So if I want to have any creative time, it's going to be in that traveling time. But on Tuesday, I don't need to go and teach at the university because it's midterm exam week. So I have all morning free. Guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be writing my book. That is already in my calendar. So I've got 3 hours of writing on Tuesday morning. The stress has already lifted. I don't have that pressure to write. I know I can't write on Thursday, but I've got all morning on Tuesday. That's why you need to have your calendar. Now, if your calendar is back-to-back meetings Monday to Friday, you need to make a decision and you need to start deciding which meetings you should be attending and which meetings you don't need to attend. And you need to start talking to people and say, look, I've got a lot of work to get on with this week. I really don't have the time to attend your meeting. Will you please excuse me? You need to take control of your life. And if you're not taking control of your life and your time, and by the way, if you really want to know how to do that, I do have an online course called Time and Life Mastery. Anyway, I shouldn't plug. But going back to that, you need to start talking to people, you need to start getting control of your time, and you need to start looking where you have those time blocks, as people call them, to get on with that work. But if you do that, if you get everything written down into one place, whether it's a piece of paper or a digital place, and you prioritize which ones need doing first, which are time sensitive, which are boss sensitive, then you will find that the stress starts lifting. Use your calendar to schedule the time and make sure that whatever you put in your calendar is sacrosanct. It's not going to move unless something more time sensitive or something more important comes up. Okay, I've had my rant again this week. Thank you very much for watching this episode. If you like this episode, please click on the like button below. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe. I wish you all now a very, very productive week.